2023 saw continued resilience for small business hiring, extending a 33-month streak of consistent job growth. Joining us right now for a closer look at the trends for the year, as well as the morning's newest data, John Gibson, who is the Paychex CEO. And John, good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Becky. It's great to be back with you. You hit it. You look at 2023, it was a really amazing year for small businesses. You think about when we started this year, inflation at 7%, wage inflation at 5% plus, really tight labor market. Small businesses were very understaffed at the start of the year, saw increased regulations, rising cost of capital. I mean, the Fed was in a very aggressive stance as they ended up raising rates 4 times over the course of this year. And then early in the year, small businesses had to face a mini banking crisis. So I think they've been very resilient. As you pointed out, our December numbers rack up the 33rd consecutive year of small business growth. So now it appears the Fed is paused, and we see jobs and wages as being stable. And I think that fact probably surprises many.
John, you bring up a lot of the headwinds that we saw back in 2023 for small businesses, but the one that never materialized was the big one people were anticipating a year ago, and that would be a recession. What happens this year? I know the small business is looking ahead, thinking things look pretty rosy. If a recession does actually hit, what would that mean? How would it show up? What would it mean for the small businesses?
Well, I tell you, Becky, we have pretty good internal indicators. And when we look at all of our indicators, we don't see signs of an immediate recession in small businesses. What we see moving into 2024 is a stable job market, tight labor market, but a stable job market, a macroeconomic environment that consumer spending remains strong. We continue to see strong demand for our products and services. I think we're seeing worker supply and demand coming back in the balance. We've talked a lot this year about the difference between large employers, mid-sized employers, and small employers. We continue to see small employers really needing more jobs to fill. Matter of fact, companies less than 10 employees represented 22% of all the job openings in the last JOLT report, and that's the highest since 2000.
That's a big deal. We've also been looking at wage inflation, and I know wage inflation has been coming down. That's the good news. It still is historically fairly high, though, correct?
Well, yes, you look at where we were at the start of the year, it's come down pretty significantly. We're now, for the second month in a row, under 3.5% in our index. Yeah. And what I would say is that's still a little bit higher, and we've talked a lot about it. It really drives down to participation. While we've seen improved participation over the course of the year, we're still not back to pre-pandemic levels. And what you're really seeing is at the rate the baby boomers are retiring, we're really struggling to keep enough supply into the labor market. So I think some of our traditional thinking about what the inflation rate of labor can be is going to be challenged if government regulators don't focus on driving up participation and improving, I would say, the quality of the workforce.
Doing that how?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that they could be doing. One is we need a lot of retraining. AI and the advent of what is going on in technology is going to require a lot of retraining. There's things and programs the government should be doing in retraining and helping retrain workers. I think we've got a gap, an education gap that occurred during COVID. I think what we hear from our clients that we do HR outsourcing for is they're really finding it difficult to find qualified workers. And so therefore, in some cases, they're actually going without filling those jobs because they can't find qualified people.
Hey, John, we've got a jobs report coming from the government for December jobs report on Friday. What do you think we'll be seeing?
Well, look, I think what we've continued to see really since the course of this year, if you remember last year, the first quarter, we saw elevating job growth in small businesses. Really, since April, we've seen continued moderation. Again, job growth continues to be above pre-pandemic levels. And so what we're seeing in our data, what we reported in December, was continued growth. I think you're going to continue to see small but stable growth in the job market.